to be cracked flour.
Live, and exactly 1 hour late.
Really?
Yes, it's exactly 11 o'clock.
How do we do that? It can't be.
It's 11:01. It just turned.
11:01. We start at 10. Oh yeah, that's right.
Well, anyway,
I thought I took a long time at the co-op.
you did take a lot of time. I think.
But we left extra late to house.
Yeah, time is compressed. When you get old, like us, time.
It doesn't compress. It goes really fast.
Yes, it is compressed and seems fast. Yes, because it's thicker.
Time is not real.
Anyway, here we are.
It's not too late for anything.
Actually, it's if you can look past me there and see the heat. It's actually
It's going to be 80, at least 85 today, I think.
yes, it's going to be 85 today. They forecast, and I believe it.
Yesterday it was 85.
And it'll be, I guess, warm for the most of the week, and then
I thought for a day or two.
and then it's going to. We got an atmospheric river.
With cold water, with cold air, and waterfalls of rain, and probably those things usually bring wind, and then they last for about 4 days or so, and they're horrible, and everything floods, and it's cold. So we're looking forward to enjoying the day today, in a car.
We love our car.
We love Carla. We
Yeah.
love Carla.
So
But I'd rather. I was sick last week.
yes,
I haven't had a cold in like 10 years or something. But I had something for a couple days, fever and.
but all those red spots all over your body disappeared in about 5 days.
I was sick for a couple of days and I didn't do anyway.
She didn't have
I threw everything medicinal I had at it, and finally went out. The sun came out, and I went out in the sun for 15 minutes or so. And then the real kicker was we watched Bernie, the Bernie rallies against oligarchy with AOC
in Denver,
and Greg Casar at
Tucson.
in Denver and Tucson. And if anything, will charge you up if you're old and want to think that there's some hope for the world.
He has healing in his shaking fists.
Well, it was the other ones with the inspirational.
Yeah, it
speeches.
was.
Well, we just like politics. The things that you're not supposed to talk to people about, religion and politics, kind of are my favorite things. So so what else is there to talk about?
My dad always said, don't talk about religion or politics in a bar.
Well, that's why I never went to bars.
and that was very frustrating for me because I love to talk about religion and politics, especially when I'm drinking. But
Whoa.
but anyway, we're here. We had Monday night class last night.
It was a very nice Monday night class.
So we were talking about the Wake World, and we got one more Wake World class next.
No, I think we have 2. It's 4 chapters.
Oh, there's 4. Huh?
That's what I know. I thought there was 3 until yesterday. I think there's 4.
Well,
Maybe I'm wrong. I
we'll
don't know anymore.
we'll argue about that some other
I
time.
had a fever last week. My brain is partially gone.
But today is Read Tolkien Day, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit were very significant literary gifts, I would say, in our lives. And well, when did Jean Paul start to read?
He had a library card when he was 4 years old, and we didn't let him go. He started first grade when he was 6 because we didn't let him go to kindergarten because
We didn't have to in
we
California.
didn't have to in those days. Nobody knew that, but we did. And he already had a library card and could read when he was 3. And
Well, who taught him to read?
Well, the thing is, he taught me how to teach kids how to read.
Okay.
Because he wanted to read really badly because I read to him all the time. Even I think in the first grade, there was a thing for Mother's Day, and I think I talked about this before. What are mommies for? and I got to see what he said, because I looked through some of his papers. It said, "Mommies are to make you buy books." But he likes books very much, and anyway, the Tolkien thing. I told him he got to reading lots of sci-fi and other things when he got, in grade school, and I said, "Read anything you want, and I'll help you buy books as much as we can." And he did buy zillions of books, zillions. I mean, we were still getting rid of them as of last year. But I said you have to read a variety. You can't just buy one kind. You can buy all your favorites, but you have to read the other kind too, and anything the opposite. So, and that he did. He was very good at that. I mean, he was reading Shakespeare anyway. But he and his friend Damon, who were both budding geniuses or something. I don't know. We just thought they were normal because that's who we had to play with.
I think Damon sometimes looks in on our shows.
Hello, Damon. We still love you with burning heart.
Yes.
Anyway, they were reading Tolkien when they were, I don't know, I want to say second or third grade. Maybe they were little kids reading it. So anyway, and other stuff. So anyway, Lon wanted to talk about that today. I'm just going to say, encourage your children to read. I'm going to use something really mundane to do, but it's not mundane. Encourage your children to read. And you don't have to, don't nag them. Jean-Paul I was lucky. He liked to take naps. He got very early in the morning and was very happy to go to bed pretty much early too. But he would take like a half-hour nap or an hour nap twice a day. I think it was like 4. I think he took a half-hour nap in the morning and then a nap in the afternoon, a short one. And then he went to bed early, so that gave me 3 times a day to get out the books and read to him before he went to sleep.
Yeah.
And there's a thing about if you read it before you go to sleep, that you remember it. Well, he remembered lots of stuff anyway. So sleeping and reading go together very well.
Well, we're not big Tolkien experts.
No,
Stephen,
I couldn't read it. I tried, but it's not my style of reading.
Stephen Colbert is a Tolkien nerd extraordinaire. Okay, Colbert, he can just recite all of the poetry in the.
And I can do that with nothing.
With who?
Nothing.
Oh.
So yeah, it's impressive.
But anyway, it was. I started reading I started with the Lord of the Rings, and we were living in a 1-room cabin in
Takilma, Oregon.
In Takilma, Oregon.
In what, 1967?
7.
No, honey.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been. No, dear.
No, 68.
It might have been 9. But it was
No.
68.
Yeah, and we had kerosene lamps. Had a milk kerosene lamp, milk glass
With hobnails.
with the hobnails on it by the bed, and I was reading the Lord of the Rings, and I got to in bed, and we had a big sheepskin bed cover over our bed. It was a jewel box. Constance had it.
And there were insects. Are you mentioning them now?
Mud daubers.
There were mud daubers living in the ceiling of our house, and they would fly in and out constantly. But they didn't bother us, and we didn't bother them because we didn't want to. We didn't want to bother them.
But I was reading the part about the shelob, the horrible big spider monster,
And Lon's still afraid of spiders.
and it was so scary. And I was under that sheepskin reading by lamplight, and all of a sudden a bat flew. The bat was probably living there up in our.
I don't know. It wasn't that high of a ceiling, so I don't even know how he got in, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, a very confused bat came in, and they don't like the light, but the light must have confused it because the bat came flapping right toward my face.
Oh, he imagined it was. Well, I must have been next to you, and I didn't.
Maybe it was just a crepe paper thing that Constance was...
scaring you with. Well, it's easy to scare, too, by the way.
Well, anyway, it was magical, and Southern Oregon in those days was a magical place. It was the Shire, and
so it's Tolkien Day, and what else is this going to be? And as I was mentioning, to tell your children to read a variety of things, encourage them by you reading a variety of things to them. But as you're grown up, and a lot of you like to study magical things, or mystical things, or I'm encouraging you to read a variety of things. Don't get stuck in a rut, especially when you get older, like Mr. DuQuette and me. Read a variety of things. Lon doesn't like to read a variety of things. Read a variety of things because one subject will enhance the other. You need more than one side of your brain working all the time.
yes.
Anyway, so it's a good day to just encourage people to read and to think about what you read. And I like, if it's your book, when you're reading, to take a pencil. Write in the margins.
You write in the margins a lot. And that's a good thing.
And it doesn't matter if I'm right or anything. It just shows that I'm
thinking.
noticing what I'm reading and I'm thinking. And sometimes I'll write, this is like something else I read, or know, or think I know, or is this like? I'll write questions, something else I know, or I disagree with this right now because I change. As you grow, whatever that means, you change, so maybe your opinion's different at different times. So read like that too. Use it as an exercise. That makes it sound unpleasant, but some of us like exercise. Some of us likes to move.
Why does everything seem to turn to
Movement.
movement?
I'm going to go.
As if everything refers to a small but subtle bit of ridicule. So,
I don't know.
But
why do you take it all that way? I'm going shopping now.
Okay, open the window because it's hot enough.
Isn't it wonderful?
It's hot enough for the window to be
and I have to
open.
take my sweatshirt in the store
because the store is freezing.
It's freezing, yes. So going back and forth is just great.
I'm setting up the little thing.
Setting up shop.
Setting up shop.
Have a good day and find something interesting to read and discuss it with yourself.
Yes.
You'll not find another person to do that with.
I had here it is. I had the good fortune to look at Aleister Crowley's personal copy of the Leg Yi Ching.
And he wrote in the margins as well.
And Crowley wrote in the margins of it was like one of the few Yi Chings around at the time, Oxford Eastern Classics or something. And it's so funny because he'd cross stuff out and go, wooden leg, and...
See, it's not unusual.
Yeah. Bullshit. Not so. It's things like that. Okay. It is National Read Tolkien Day. And I'm going to read, because we were talking about Jean-Paul. He could, as Constance said, he could read a lot, read and enjoy a lot, very young, even before he started first grade. And so he had read the Hobbit, and but almost out of nostalgia, one evening, it was time for him to go to bed. I suppose he was maybe 8 or 9 already, and I said, "I'll read you. I'll read you a bedtime story before you go to sleep." And so he had the Hobbit sitting by the bed. So I tucked him in, and I started to read this. to him, and he sort of pretended like he was going to snooze off to sleep. And by the time I got to just this last word I'm going to read from this section, he, almost half asleep, joined me because he had this opening paragraph memorized. And it was one of the sweetest memories that I have in this lifetime. Chapter 1, An Unexpected Party. In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit. Not a nasty, dirty, wet hole filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, nor yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing to sit on, or sit down on, or to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. Okay, that's not the clip I want to read today in honor of Read Tolkien Day. It's just a couple pages later. We've met Bilbo and learned a little bit about the hobbits and their cozy provincial habits and their families and things. By some curious chance, one morning, long ago, in the quiet of the world, when there was less noise and more green, and the hobbits were still numerous and prosperous, and Bilbo Baggins was standing at his door after breakfast, smoking an enormous, long wooden pipe that reached nearly down to his woolly toes, neatly brushed. Gandalf came by. Gandalf. If you've heard only a quarter of what I've heard about him, and I have only heard very little of all there is to hear, you'd be prepared for a sort of remarkable tale. Tales and adventures sprouted up all over the place, wherever he went, in the most extraordinary fashion. He had not been down that way under the hill for ages and ages, not since his friend Old Took died, in fact, and the hobbits had almost forgotten what he had looked like. He'd been away over the hill across the water on business of his own since they were all small hobbit boys and hobbit girls. All that the unsuspecting Bilbo saw that morning was an old man with a staff. He had a tall, pointed, blue hat, a long gray cloak, a silver scarf over which his long white beard hung down below his waist, and immense black boots. "Good morning," said Bilbo, and he meant it. The sun was shining and the grass was very green, but Gandalf looked at him from under long bushy eyebrows that stuck out further than the brim of his shady hat. "What do you mean?" he said. "Do you wish me a good morning, or mean that it is a good morning, whether I want it or not, or do you feel good this morning, or what is the meaning of to be good on? What is the morning to be good on? Excuse me." "All of them at once," said Bilbo, "and a very fine morning for a pipe of tobacco outdoors, into the bargain. If you have a pipe about you, sit down and have a fill of mine. There's no hurry. We have all the day before us." Then Bilbo sat down on a seat by his door, crossed his legs, and blew out a beautiful gray ring of smoke that sailed up into the air without breaking and floated over the hill. "Very pretty," said Gandalf, "but I have no time to blow smoke rings this morning. I'm looking for someone to share an adventure that I'm arranging. and it's very difficult to find anyone. I should think so in these parts. We are plain, quiet folk and have no use for adventures. Nasty, disturbing, uncomfortable things make you late for dinner. I can't think what anybody sees in them, said our Mr. Baggins, and stuck one thumb under his braces and blew out another even bigger smoke ring. Then he took out his morning letters and began to read, pretending to take no more notice of the old man. He had decided that he was not quite his sort and wanted him to go away. But the old man did not move. He stood leaning on his stick and gazing at the Hobbit without saying anything, till Bilbo got quite uncomfortable and even a little cross. "Good morning," he said at last. "We don't want any adventures here, thank you. You might try over the hill or across the water." By this, he meant that the conversation was at an end. "What a lot of things you do use good morning for," said Gandalf. "And now you mean that you want to get rid of me and that it won't be good till I move off." Not at all, my dear sir. Let me see. I don't think I know your name." Yes, my dear sir. I do know your name, Mr. Bilbo Baggins. And you do know my name, though you don't remember that I belong to it. I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me. To think that I should have lived to be good-morninged by Belladonna Took's son, as if I were selling buttons at the door. Gandalf, good gracious me, not the wandering wizard that gave old Took a pair of magic diamond studs that fashioned themselves and never came undone till ordered. Not the fellow who used to tell such wonderful tales at parties about dragons and goblins and giants and the rescue of princesses and the unexpected luck of widows' sons. Not the man that used to make such particularly excellent fireworks. I remember those. Old Took used to have them on Midsummer's Eve. Splendid. They used to go up like great lilies and snapdragons and labyrinthiums of fire and hang in the twilight all evening. You will notice already that Mr. Baggins was not quite so prosy as he liked to believe, and that he was very fond of flowers. Dear me, he went on, not the Gandalf who was responsible for so many quiet lads and lasses going off into the blue for mad adventures. Anything from climbing trees to visiting elves, or sailing in ships and sailing to other shores. Bless me, life used to be quiet. Bless me, life used to be quite Then he stopped. I mean, you used to upset things badly in these parts once upon a time. I beg your pardon, but I have no idea you were still in business. Where else should I be? Said the wizard. And that's our little reading on today's National Read Tolkien Day. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope if you've never read The Hobbit and then The Lord of the Rings, and there's other wonderful, magical, poetical Tolkien material, why don't you escape the madness around us just for a few moments every day and read yourself a little J.R.R. Tolkien. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.